Hi everyone, it's Sherry, and I'm here today with my first video in a series of videos I think I'm probably going to call Crafting on a Budget. So what I have here is 5 markers. I have one stencil that came in one of my monthly kits. I have a pencil. And this is just a regular mechanical pencil I've had forever and a day. And then I have one synthetic water brush here. It is one of the Ranger brushes, size 4. A kneaded eraser, which you could use a white eraser as well for what I'm going to be doing today. I do have a pot of water. I happen to use the collapsible cups. I like the ridges on top so I can rest my brush. I have a paper towel and I have 1/2 sheet of watercolor paper. This is the Canson 140-pound watercolor paper that is fairly inexpensive. You can purchase it at your local craft store. I believe you can find it at Walmart, several places. It's very inexpensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my stencil, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of micropore tape, and I am going to tape it down so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to take my pencil and I am going to outline all of the little flowers and dots within this stencil. I'm using very light pressure. I don't want to press down hard and make it real dark because that's going to make it a little bit harder for me to erase those pencil lines. So now that I'm finished, I'm going to remove my stencil, and then I'm going to take this kneaded eraser and I'm just going to press it around on this piece of paper, and it will pick up the pencil lead from the paper. And then I'm just simply going to use my markers and my brush and water and do some coloring. Very, very simple coloring. If you don't have Tombow markers, that's fine. Maybe you have some old Stampin' Up markers. Those will work just as well. They're pretty much, I would say, venture to say, they're the same formula, and they are going to react to water pretty much in the same way. So I am going to super speed this up, as you can see here. I'm not going to color everything on screen. It would take forever. But I am just showing you how I'm laying down the color, starting in the center, and then I'm pulling it out with a little bit of water on my brush. Now the reason I decided to use this synthetic brush was not only because it is affordable, but I feel like I have a little bit more control when I'm using inks to paint with using this brush. I do have some of the silver black velvet brushes, and I do find those very useful when I am using traditional watercolors. So I'm just going to go around my entire egg and fill in all of these spaces with my 5 markers, and I'm doing the same thing. Like I stated before, I'm starting laying down some color in the very center, and then I am just pulling that color out. So I'm going to show you one more leaf here, and then I'm going to shut down and finish up the coloring, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over the entire thing again. Now I find this useful in the event that maybe my ink bled out of the lines a little bit. This just gives me one more chance to come back in and try to clean everything up and get some really nice sharp edges. And I am using very little water on my brush. Now, I also was getting a little wigged out because these flowers did not have centers. And for me, it just was not working. So I picked up my stencil and I auditioned the various little holes with the flowers and drew myself some flower centers. And again, I went through the same process using my eraser, picking up the pencil lead, and then I just simply used my marker on an acrylic block, and I picked up the color from there and added to my centers. I also went over those twice. So at this point, you have a beautiful card. You can quit. But I happen to have an oval die in my stash. So, look around and see what you have. And maybe that you can enhance your project in one fashion or another. So what I decided to do is I actually wanted to add just a hint of color in an oval shape around this stencil pattern here to maybe more define that this was an egg. So I taped that down and I traced it again lightly with my pencil. And again, I went back in and picked up that lead with my eraser. And then I snuck back over to my marker caddy and I picked out the lightest blue marker that I could find. I did audition the light gray one on another piece of watercolor paper, but I did not find that light gray marker color very easy to move. So this is why I chose the light blue one. So essentially, I guess you could say instead of 5 markers, we use 6. But again, that is not necessary because before I did this, I had a beautiful card. So I'm going to finish up that outline and then I'm going to come back and I looked through my stash again and I found a stamp that said Happy Easter. So I'm going to try it out here. And I'm going to be using the pink marker that I used to color with. And I'm going to use that to stamp my sentiment. Now I will try this out just to make sure that I'm getting a good stamping. And you can see here I was a practice sheet where I was playing with colors and different mediums. Anyway, I'm going to get this inked up with my marker and then I'm going to line it up in the center under the egg as best I can and stamp that down. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with my water and my brush, and I'm just going to, with the very, very tip of my brush and very light hand and very minimal water, go over the sentiment just to kind of spread out the ink and even it up a little bit. And that is pretty much going to be my card for today. I really appreciate you joining me. I hope that I have inspired you to look around in your stash and use what you have. Try to use minimal supplies and see how far you can go with it. And I will see you again soon. Bye now.